Well, today I thought we'd show you some of the new plantings here at OBGA. We're actually out along Highway 51, and this is one of the newest plantings that we have. With me today is Dr. Lou Anella. He's an assistant professor of horticulture here at OSU, and he was pretty much the driving force in getting this new planting made. And Lou, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Now, Lou, we've got a great planting of trees in a pretty difficult place here. Maybe we could start out by some of the plant material that you used for this planting.
Okay. Some of the plants we put in here are actually part of a trial program too for Oklahoma Proven. This first one is a plant we're looking at and hoping to promote in the future through Oklahoma Proven. This is Acer truncatum, the Shantung maple. It's not a very large tree. You get maybe 30 to 40 feet tall, so a medium-sized tree. Really quite heat tolerant and very drought tolerant for a maple. So we have high hopes for this one, and actually they're doing quite well here now.
Oh, well, this will be a very good test site for them, I bet, if they can survive here.
If they can make it here, they can make it anywhere.
Well, good. That'll be nice to come along and see how they're doing. Now, what are some of the other plant materials that you've used?
In the background, we have some larger trees. We put in some water oak, tulip trees, a couple different cultivars of green ash, some river birch, and also sort of a relative of the Shantung maple, a hybrid between Shantung maple and Acer platanoides, the Norway maple, and that's cultivar Keith's form. So that's another plant that we put in here that should be quite heat and drought tolerant.
Oh, good. It'll be nice to see how they do. Now, right here in the front, I noticed that you've got a very nice grouping of, also, we've got some shrubs as well as trees in the plantings here.
Yes, it's important, I think, to use massing in any landscape, really, but here, especially along the highway, where people are traveling by at 60 miles an hour, I think it's really important to group things together. So here we have a cluster of 18 Acoma crepe myrtles, and these are crepe myrtles that'll grow out more than they will up. They're more of a horizontal spreader, and so my design idea here is that this whole area will fill in, and this will be a solid mass of crepe myrtle with white blossoms that you'll be able to see quite clearly as you drive by.
That is important.
And then in the background there we have Leyland cypress that'll form a hedge wall in the back of these, so that'll really help those white blossoms stand out.
Now, when you say a hedge, you're not talking a formal trimmed hedge, you're basically talking about just a kind of a blocking type of a plant.
Right, something to act as a background for these blooming shrubs in the front.
Now, you've also got another set of blooming shrubs here that you wouldn't necessarily think of being in a place like this.
Well, some of the shrub roses are really much hardier and much tougher than people give roses credit for. And so this is Carefree Delight, a shrub rose with a single petaled flower, as you can see. And we're hoping that this area too will all fill in, and the shrubs will kind of grow together and act as a mass. But these things should be quite carefree. They should not need a lot of maintenance and maybe be trimmed back a little bit each year, but very different from what you think of as a hybrid tea rose in a traditional garden. These should be much more hardy.
I'll be anxious to see how the roses do. I think these will be gorgeous when they're all massed together and blooming.
Yeah, and I tried to have the white and the pink too. It was suggested perhaps to put a different color of crepe myrtle, but I didn't want to get something that was red or something that was a very different pink that wouldn't match. So I think the white and the pink together will look quite good.
It'll be very nice. Now, I also noticed that things are here, we've got them mulched in really well. Now, these plants are not on their own water-wise, are they?
No, they have a drip irrigation system. Everything in here has been drip irrigated.
Okay. I can see right here we've got just a little emitter at each plant, basically.
Each plant has its own emitter, and we have 4 different zones set up. 2 zones for the shrubs and 2 zones for the trees. So we can water them separately because they'll need different amounts of water, the trees and the shrubs.
Right.
So they've been separated into different zones.
Okay. Well, this is a nice collection of plants. It's set up very nicely. How did you go about getting the funding to be able to do this?
This came from a highway tree program grant through the Oklahoma Department of Transportation and in cooperation with the Oklahoma Department of Forestry. So we applied for the grant. The grant stipulates that the plants must be planted on a public right-of-way or on public land adjacent to the right-of-way. And so that's why we were able to plant some plants back behind the fence on OSU property. But we received the grant from the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, and we're able to put these plants in.
Great. Now, this is actually a program that's open to anyone that wants to do this, isn't it?
Yeah, any city or nonprofit organization that wants to apply for the grant can. This year, the deadline is July 11th, so there's not much time left. But they try to do this every year. The funds come from the federal government, and they're not always sure when the funds are going to be available, but I think they have funds for the next few years to do this grant again. So any communities or tree boards throughout the state that are interested in doing a highway planting like this can apply for the funds.
Okay. Now, if you do apply for the funds, it's not planting just anything at all you want. They have a strict process that you go through to ensure that you have a successful planting. So they kind of...
Well, they have a review board too to grant you the grant or approve the grant, but also you have to guarantee that the plants will be alive for 3 years. You have to agree to maintain the plants for 5 years. So now we at OBGA must mow and mulch this area for the next 5 years. But we also have to guarantee that 80% of the plant material will be alive in 3 years. And so that's their way of just ensuring that you really get out there and use this money wisely and really take care of the plantings.
I think it's a good program, a good way to beautify the rights of way along our highways and stuff. And so if people want to do this, they should contact who?
The Oklahoma Department of Transportation would be a possibility, but might be better to contact Mark Bays at Oklahoma Department of Forestry.
Okay, thank you very much, Lou.
Thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.